Aaron Rodgers coming to the defense of Nathaniel Hackett. And look, I got to throw the challenge flag when he says I won MVP twice in that offense. It was Hackett working with Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur was calling the plays. Once Hackett went to Denver, something went haywire. And now in New York, he's the guy fully in charge of the offense. Robert Saleh's a defensive guy. So there's a difference. And also, they've been resistant to adjusting the offense to suit Zach Wilson. They're so ingrained with the offense as designed for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if they don't want to get away from it because they're thinking he's going to come back. So they don't want to have to unlearn, then relearn I don't know, but it's not going to matter. He's not going to come back this year if they don't win some games soon. And I don't care who's to blame. The offense stinks. The defense is great. The offense stinks. I don't care who you blame. Forget about stats. Forget about names. Forget about this. Forget about that. They aren't scoring enough points. And it doesn't pass the eyeball test. Too many plays are like, what the hell was that? So, it's this whole mid-December thing from Rodgers. It's not going to matter if they don't win one of the next two. They may have to win two of the next two for it to matter.
Yeah, I agree. There's no point in coming back or doing anything like that if they're out of the playoff race. That would be stupid for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. There is a part of me that thinks he says this to keep hope alive within the Jets organization, within the locker room a little bit, let alone I think he is, hopeful himself that it can get there and maybe he can make some miraculous comeback. So I feel like it's a little bit like wishing into an existence, also dangling it in front of the team a little bit to be like, hey, keep playing, keep fighting. If we can just stay there, I'll come back and I'll save the day. So there's that aspect. But you said it right. Hey, the defense we know is pretty damn special. It hasn't, always been special in some big moments like we saw in the late third, fourth quarter the other night, but it's still amazing. Offensively, it's a lot of things. One, I think some of the talent on the offense, which again, the wide receiver position was predicated on the fact that they were going to win games and move the ball more on brains than physical ability. That's why Lazard and Randall Cobb were there. Let me check to this play. You know exactly the signals, how I want the route run, how to run the route according to zone, man, whatever the coverage is, do all of that, right? So all of that was good. Hey, we're going to get in formations that are going to tell Rodgers and give him clues to what the coverage is. He'll get us in the right play. Those guys will listen and we'll be good to go. Boom, he'll get the ball out of his hands, blah, 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 right? Well, Zach Wilson's not ready for that. He's not. It's a new offense to him. We know he's been young and raw and learning offense as it is to begin with. And this is just to ask him to now, I'm going to get back there and get us in the right play every time and do all that. No, that takes years and years to happen for quarterbacks. And that's how they formulated the team around, Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson needs the opposite. He needs it like, hey, team, tell me, and I can make great throws. And if you can just get a guy open, I'll throw a laser and get him open. But if you think I'm going to get us in the right play and dissect coverages and perfectly place the ball in these intricate routes all the time, no, he's not going to do that. So that's the problem when you go all in for a guy like Aaron Rodgers and listen to everything he wants. If he gets hurt, yeah, there's issues now with how that offense is formulated and how it could execute going forward.
That's right. Everything was constructed for him. He exits after 4 plays. It's not easy to pivot to other guy who comes in. Now, the counter to that is look at what O'Connell did with Josh Dobbs, but that system wasn't specifically handcrafted for Kirk Cousins.
Right.
That was the system O'Connell brought.
And O'Connell's
he's
special.
Flexible enough that he can adapt it.
Right. Yeah. And O'Connell's special. Like I watched that game on film yesterday too. He's brilliant. He's just great in how, again, like we talked about with the first segment with Ken Dorsey, how he ties plays together, what he gets defenses thinking or looking at, and then he comes with a haymaker or whatever. He's great at formulating plays and game plans that way. And then Nathaniel Hackett's good, certainly, but I'm not going to put him in Kevin O'Connell's, department as far as play caller and play designer that way. Rodgers is dependent on that. Then the offensive line, they were kind of, risking it as it was, and it's been injured and banged up. So they can't run the ball and stay on the field that way. It's put more pressure on Zach Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. And then with that, too, they don't protect all that well. So, there's a lot of things to Aaron Rodgers' point and what he said there that, there's a lot of things that need to be improved there with the New York Jets on the offensive side of the ball. And it's not just Zach Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett, but they got to do something here in a hurry or they're going to be in deep crap.
They had a players-only meeting on Tuesday. Now, that didn't work last week for the Buffalo Bills. And usually a players-only meeting is a sign of desperation.
Yeah.
I don't know how often it actually works. I don't know. Have you been part of a players-only meeting, and do they work?
Yes, I have. And, no, more times than not, the players-only meeting happens when it's too late. When it's like, oh, we're already on the downslope of dysfunction and we're falling apart. This should have been said 3-4 weeks ago before we got to this, like we are going down and, it's just all becoming a disaster. So, it can change the attitude. There is some benefit there, but, in my experience, more times than not, it happens too late and then it just doesn't have the quite desired effect that you'd like it to have.
And I guess some of the value is to clear the air.
Yeah,
air some grievances.
That's right.
I could see it go in a bad way, too. You could probably have some fights break out in a players-only meeting. But I agree with you. By the time the players recognize that we need to break glass in event of emergency, the emergency's already happened.
Yes,
and it's just a question of how long it's going to take to clean up the ensuing mess. So not a good sign for the Jets. They got the Bills. And that becomes a pretty damn interesting game.
Yes, it
just
does.
For the train wreck factor.
It's kind of
Which
must
team's
win
gonna
for both.
Lose this game and
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
Yes, you lose this and you're done. Now you could still run the table. Yeah, but at 5-6, the Bills aren't going to run the table and finish 11-6. It ain't going to happen. Same for the Jets. They lose this game and they fall to 4-6. They're not going to suddenly catch fire down the stretch. This is a litmus test for both teams. Who's going to step up as we approach Thanksgiving and get a win and parlay it into another and another? And that Jets schedule, those Falcons and Texans games looked like easy games before the season. They ain't going to be easy now. Now, the Falcons, who knows where they are, but the Texans game all of a sudden is not an easy game.
Nothing's easy for the Jets. You've been watching them? Nothing's easy. I mean, damn, Tommy DeVito and the Giants had them dead. They were done. And then miracle, a shamrock and a horseshoe flew up their ass and they won the football game. I mean, we could get my old Ramapo High School team out there and it'd be like, whoa, the Jets, it's a fourth quarter win for them. They just eked this one out. I'm joking, of course, but yeah, with the state of their offense and how it's playing and executing, it doesn't matter who they play in the NFL. It's going to be a nail biter. And so nothing's a given. And you're right, Houston and Atlanta are, Houston certainly better than we thought. Atlanta may be going in the wrong direction here, but it's definitely not going to be easy for the Jets.
I was told by somebody in a position to make a fair estimate that Week 16, game against the Commanders, Christmas Eve, that's the absolute drop-dead last date for Rodgers to return, and they need to be 7-7 or 8-6 at that point for it to matter, because the thinking is it's going to take 10 wins minimum to get in. So we'll see if they can hold it together. They've got to go 3-2, right? 3-2 or 4-1 over the next 5 to make that happen. And that team that I've seen recently, I don't see it happening. But we'll find out. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.